The clock ticked lazily toward midnight, its hands moving as if caught in molasses. It was a typical Saturday night for Mark, nestled in his worn-out couch, surrounded by the glow of the television. The hum of a late-night movie filled the room, blending with the distant sound of rain tapping against the windows. He stretched out, feeling the weight of the day settle over him, grateful for the quiet. But tonight, something was different. An uneasy feeling settled in his gut, like a whisper urging him to look away from the screen. He brushed it off, attributing it to the dreary weather outside. A sudden flicker of the lights jolted him upright. The shadows in the corners of the room danced, and for a moment, he thought he saw a figure lurking just beyond the reach of the glow from the television. Mark shook his head, dismissing it as a trick of the mind. He grabbed a handful of popcorn and focused on the film, trying to ignore the chill creeping up his spine. Then came the knock. It was soft at first, almost hesitant, like a child unsure of their own courage. Mark paused, his heart racing. Who could be visiting at this hour? He glanced at his phone. No missed calls, no messages. The knock came again, a little louder this time, more insistent. With a deep breath, he pushed himself off the couch and walked to the door, curiosity battling his instinct to retreat. Peering through the peephole, he saw nothing but darkness. The street lamp outside flickered, casting long shadows across the porch. Mark hesitated, then opened the door just a crack. "Hello?" he called, his voice echoing in the stillness. No response, just the sound of rain pouring down, relentless and heavy. Closing the door, he tried to shake off the unsettling feeling that had taken root. As he returned to the couch, he noticed something unusual. The TV had switched off on its own, plunging the room into darkness. He cursed under his breath, getting up again to flip the switch. The glow returned, but now the atmosphere felt different, charged, electric, like the air before a storm. Mark settled back in, trying to find comfort in the familiar flickering light. Just as he got comfortable again, he heard it. Soft laughter, echoing from somewhere deep within the house. He froze, the hairs on the back of his neck standing on end. It was unmistakably a child's laughter, high-pitched and innocent, but it chilled him to the bone. "Who's there?" he shouted, his voice wavering. Silence answered him, thick and heavy. Mark's heart raced as he glanced around the dimly lit room, shadows pooling in the corners. He stood, the faintest sense of dread gripping him, and began to make his way toward the source of the sound. He approached the hallway, which felt darker than he remembered. The laughter came again, a little louder, almost playful. It echoed off the walls, teasing him, beckoning him to follow. He swallowed hard, a knot of fear tightening in his stomach, but curiosity pushed him forward. As he stepped deeper into the hallway, he noticed a door slightly ajar at the end, a sliver of light spilling out. The laughter echoed from within. He hesitated, the dread clawing at him, but before he could turn back, he found himself walking toward it. With a shaky hand, he pushed the door open. Inside, the room was empty, save for an old, dusty toy chest in the corner. The light flickered, casting long shadows across the walls. The laughter stopped abruptly, replaced by an oppressive silence. Mark felt a chill wash over him, a sense of wrongness saturating the air. Just then the chest creaked open by itself, and his breath caught in his throat. He leaned closer, the light revealing old toys scattered inside, their colors faded and worn. A doll with cracked porcelain eyes stared back at him, a smile painted on its face that felt all too real. Suddenly the door slammed shut behind him, plunging him into darkness. Panic surged through him as he turned to push it open. but it wouldn't budge. The laughter returned, now a cacophony of giggles that surrounded him. "Play with us," they whispered, echoing off the walls. Mark pounded on the door, desperate, but the laughter grew louder, drowning out his cries. The shadows seemed to stretch and twist, coiling around him like a living thing. In that moment, he realized he was not alone. Not in this house, not on this lazy Saturday night. He had unwittingly invited something sinister into his solitude. The door rattled, and he felt a presence behind him, cold breath brushing against his neck. "Why don't you want to play?" it asked, a voice sweet, yet terrifying. Mark turned, but all he could see were shadows closing in, the laughter growing into a frenzied chorus. As the darkness enveloped him, he understood. Some games are meant to be played only in the safety of daylight. And now, the night had claimed him, a solitary soul lost in the horror of his own lazy Saturday.